Dear confreres, on this penultimate day of our retreat, I ask your pardon for this bad voice, but I need to record this talk today itself. Kindly put up with it. I want to speak to you about preventive system or the radical approach to preventive system. Because we may speak about the profile of the new Salesian, but we always remain Salesians. And preventive system spirituality remains a fixed, permanent, basic way of our life and work. And therefore, reflecting on preventive system is very important. Now, one or two preliminary ideas. First of all, most of us Salesians are very hardworking people. We are committed to our mission. But our understanding of mission is somewhat partial. We understand our works as our mission. And we often see that our works are more important than our consecration and our community living. Therefore, our work becomes secularized. It becomes activities, offering of services to young people. This is a dichotomous understanding of our life and work. And that is why the congregation, through the Rector's Major, has always been speaking to us about the grace of unity. That we should see our consecration, our community life and our mission as one thing. Article 3 of our Constitution already tells us that the three aspects are so integral and they form one single movement of dedication to God and to the young people. So when these three aspects are together, then we have the mission. Otherwise, we have merely activities like anybody else. Like everybody else is running schools or social works and helping the poor, etc., like the United Nations or other NGOs. But we are different because we do it as consecrated people and as communities. So our consecration is part of our mission. It is not something separate from the mission. We practice consecration by ourselves and then we go to work in the mission. No. Community life is we live in our communities inside our religious houses and then we go out for the mission. No. Community life is itself a mission to tell the divided world that we should stick together as brothers and sisters. It is itself mission. When Europeans, Americans, Africans, Asians live together in community as brothers, that itself is a great witness to what the world is supposed to be. And therefore, that itself is the mission. And therefore, we need to have an integrated view of our mission. Mission means consecration, community life, and our works put together in one single act of love for God and for our neighbor. And therefore, we cannot be faithful to our mission without truly being consecrated and truly being communitated. Often, some of us are tending to see our consecration and our community life as a burden or a kind of drawback for our mission. These external things are not allowing us to become part of the mission. This is the funny idea that some of us may have. No, actually, we are not an NGO. We are not the United Nations. We are not the Food and Agricultural Organization for the poor. But we are consecrated people, and that is our mission. Secondly, our idea of the preventive system. We have been unfortunately taught to practice preventive system in very enclosed, simple ambience like our boarding houses, looking after boys in our youth center, oratories, and things like that. Therefore, we have learned to think of preventive system as more as a kind of assisting the boys, in the sense looking after to see that they don't do anything harmful, they do not fall into sin. So it has turned out to be more of watching over, taking care, making sure that no defects, no faults take place, looking after their safety, etc., etc. But instead, the preventive system is a very beautiful and comprehensive spirituality system. And therefore, we need to radically reinterpret preventive system for the new Salesian today. That is important. Otherwise, we will, as some of us might think, that we will tend to think that the preventive system, it's okay for practical training time, but afterwards, well, we pay lip service to preventive system, but we don't really bother about it. Of course, it is in our blood. There is, people notice that there is a difference in the way that Salesians deal with the young, deal with our the poor, etc. We have a lively way of being with them, etc. All that is coming from our DNA, from the way we have learned a preventive system from our father Don Bosco. But today, we need to widen the concepts of preventive system and reinterpret them according to the needs of today. Therefore, what I will do in this talk is the following. I will pick up some key concepts of the preventive system, and I will say how traditionally we have understood these concepts and how we should interpret them for today. Therefore, these characteristics form the profile of the new Salesian that General Chapter 28 wanted to bring about. And okay, let us begin. Let us take one by one the concepts and see the traditional understanding and the wider, or let us say the contextualized and a new, not exactly new, but a wider interpretation of it that makes the concept itself more vibrant, more powerful than what it was and how we practiced it earlier. First of all, as soon as we speak of preventive system, we immediately speak of reason, religion, and loving kindness. Let us take these three concepts first. Reason. Reason is reasonableness, the concept, and traditionally it has been taken as convincing the boys about the reasons for our rules, regulations, etc., and explaining to them why we are doing certain things, etc. Instead, today, for the new Salesian, for me, reason means transparency. Reason is to be identified with transparency. Openness in dialogue with young, concept clarification of what is what, scientific method in education, research and development. Reason should lead us to be more research minded, more scientific minded, more professional in our work. Reason is all that. It is not merely convincing the boys that the punishment that we are giving them is reasonable. That is a very reductive understanding of reason. Let me go ahead because I have many concepts to just put before you for your reflection. Religion. Traditionally, religion means that we are faithful to the practices of piety and the Christian faith, and we celebrate the sacraments and we teach catechism to the youngsters. Those concepts, the traditional concepts, still remain valid. I am not saying that traditional concepts are wrong. I am only saying that we need to widen these concepts for greater understanding and contextualization. Religion today, therefore, particularly in multi-religious contexts, it simply means teaching the presence of the divine in human beings and in nature, bearing witness to Christ by word and witness, entering into religious dialogue with people, religious amity with people. We don't define today our religion as against, the others are wrong, we are right. Religion would today imply that we should be agents of friendship between people of various religions and various confessions and denominations. It also means appreciating what is best in other religions, lovingly accompanying those who wish to follow Christ. To the Catholics, it also means a solid, strong foundation in their faith. Thirdly, we have the concept of loving kindness, which traditionally means loving the boys, being a father and a brother to them, taking care of them, etc., which is important. But today, we need to translate loving kindness as identification. Identification with the poor and with the young. From being benefactors to being brothers, to being fathers, being part of the family, to creating a culture and civilization of love, environment. We have to change culture into a more and more family-like ambient. That is loving kindness. Next concept, pastoral charity. Pastoral charity is a key concept in preventive system, which traditionally understood as zeal for saving souls. Very good. That is still valid. But today we should understand it in a wider sense. The zeal with which we fight for the dignity of the human beings, particularly because God is residing in every human person, particularly in the poor, defending the dignity of the poor, making the youth religious minded and spiritual, etc. etc. Predilection for the young, that's another key concept of a preventive system, which traditionally meant we work only with the young people, we don't worry about the others. And there was a time when we were not even working for girls. That was because of the understanding of chastity and problems at that time. Today, we have overcome that particular problem. Today, predilection for the young would mean that we are youth focused. Definitely, we still give priority of our attention to the young people, but we work along with the wider society. We work for the family because we know that we cannot work for young people without their families. We have to work with every other agency and a society which is working for the young, the church, the other congregations, etc. Family spirit, another key concept of our system, our spirituality, which traditionally meant familiarity, joy, fun, get-togethers, jokes, games, and fooling each other, pulling each other's legs, etc., etc. Family spirit. Today, we should understand it as building communities. We are community builders. Wherever we go, we build communities. Our communities become wider and wider and wider. That is why we say today our own community is only the animating nucleus. Even the animating nucleus has lay people, and the EPC is the animating nucleus today. And therefore, we need to be builders of communities, communion, taking decision as community, promoting a participatory way of decision making. Speaking of brotherhood, overcoming divisions in the society, all that is part of the family spirit. Optimism and joy. Optimism and joy is another key concept of our system, which traditionally meant cheerfulness and believing in the goodness of the young person, etc., etc. Optimism, but we today have to go to the roots of why we are optimistic, because Christ is present, the Holy Spirit is present and is working in the history of the human race, and therefore human beings are basically good. There may be a lot of evil tendencies that we see around, but the world is not evil. Someone said if God today came into this world for a visit, what would he first see? He would see how much of goodness and love there is in the world. He will not only see the hatred and the wars, because actually what makes news is hatred and wars. The amount of love and fraternity and love and communion that exists in the world, we do not notice because it does not make news. So together with St. Francis of Assisi, we are inveterate believers in the goodness of the human person. If we do not believe in the goodness of the young people, of every other human person, we will get discouraged very easily. Another concept is creativity. We say Salesian preventive system is creative in its spirit. Traditionally, it meant being creative within our houses, in keeping the boys happy, in inventing plays or creative liturgy, get-togethers, notice boards, art, music, etc., etc. But today, creativity means ability to launch into the new areas of ministry according to the demands of the times. It means the courage to experiment in the mission. We have been running our works in a certain way. Have we achieved the best of results? Why don't we change our methods? Why don't we try something new, a different method of working, different way of, different strategizing? That is creativity, not merely some kind of trick within our community living. Work and temperance, another basic concept in our spirituality, which traditionally meant tireless work, constantly working from morning till evening, which is good. But today, it means disciplined work. It means the ability to plan to strategize and create projects, make the best use of our resources, leading simple lives, willingness to share power and renounce the desire for limelight, to work in the background, letting other people take leadership. All this is work and temperance today. We have to widen that concept. Initiative and flexibility, another characteristic that is mentioned in our system. Our system makes us take initiative and be flexible. It is traditionally expressed in dealing with young people according to situations. Today, for us, it means the ability to change. The ability to change. It is not easy for us to change according to the situations. Situations keep on changing. The world keeps changing every year practically. Once upon a time, they used to say every 30 years the world changes. Today, every 5 years the world is changing. We need the ability to change constantly. Are we having that ability? Key concept, one of the most important concepts of preventive system is presence, which traditionally has been interpreted as physically being with the boys. Wherever the boys are, we should be there watching over them, of course in a friendly manner, etc., etc. So it became more, the physical presence in a small group of youngsters, which is still very important. We need to accompany them, we need to be present with them. But today, it means being incarnate among those for whom we work or with whom we work. Living among the poor, locating our houses even in poor areas. That is presence. That is, the fact that we are there makes a difference in the lives of people. It does not only irritate them. Youngsters should feel that our presence with them makes sense, let us say, enhances their life, and therefore our lifestyle, creating family-like space, etc., is part of presence. God is God for us because He is present. He is not absent and doing something else. Okay. So, and assistance, another important concept. What does it mean? Assistance traditionally meant that we are present with the young people while they are there. We don't leave them alone. We are with them. Assistance. We assist in the study hall, in the dormitory, in the playground, in the refectory, in the dining hall, etc. Today it means not that we are the heroes. We play supportive roles while giving the protagonism to the youngsters and to the people. People are the heroes of their own development. We assist them. We support them. We are along with them. We do not work for them, but we work with them. That is assistance. Sense of the church. That's another key concept in our system. Today, therefore, we give up a kind of congregational triumphalism. And we think as the church. We work with the others. Our glory is not that we Salesians are bigger in number, more glorious, we have more houses than the other congregations. What is the glory in that? That is triumphalism. But we are part of the church. Creating honest citizens. This is another key concept. Today, it simply means for us that forming socially and politically active citizens, participating in public life in every way possible, willingness to fight for just causes, being in politics in the right way, fighting for common good of the people, which is very, very important. Civilization of love, that's a phrase that is used very often in our system, which for us today means transformation of culture. The cultures in which we live, our own cultures, native cultures, are not always in every aspect good. We need to transform cultures according to the gospel, and we have to translate the gospel in our cultural terms. So civilization of love means our work with the culture of the people which have positive elements which we need to support, which have negative elements which we need to transform according to the spirit of the gospel. Lay collaboration. This is a key concept even in the general chapter that we have just concluded. Lay collaboration means we have usually the idea we are the center and lay people have to come collaborate with us. That is true, of course. In our institutional context, it is still true. But we need to form them. We need to form them and share with them not only some subservient roles, but also decision-making roles, and we need to treat them as partners. But it also means collaborating with every other great agency that is working for the young. For example, the United Nations or other big NGOs, other religious congregations, people of other religions, every person of goodwill who is working with the young. Thus, we multiply our forces by collaboration. That is the concept. It is not that we just teach a little bit of our system to our lay collaborators and treat them a little better and we call them lay collaborators. Prevention. The name itself contains that word, preventive system. Prevention means traditionally it meant preventing the young from committing faults, etc., etc. Safeguarding them from evil. But today, preventing means that we need to prevent the causes of evil. Prevent the causes of evil. Supposing there is migration, poor people running away to the rich countries. Why? It is not enough to feed them in the rich places. It is important to work in the places from where they are running away. Why are they running away? How to prevent this evil of unnecessary migration. Child abuse, how to prevent it rather than cure it. It's not enough to treat the symptoms, but we need to treat the causes. That is prevention. I conclude, dear confreres, with calling your attention to what I have written in the paper, which you will have, regarding taking some concepts from General Chapter 26. There it speaks about a paradigm shift in mentality and structures in Articles 31, Article 86, 85 and 104. It speaks about moving from one way of thinking and working to another wider way. All that I have mentioned so far is also found in our own constitutions, in our chapter documents, and that is what is going to create the new Salesian. It is not merely simply, going back to our traditional ways and maybe trying to do things a little better. We need to widen our minds. We need to reinterpret the basic concepts that rule our thinking and our life. It is a mind that needs basically change. It's a software that, as I often say, that needs to be changed, not just the hardware. Someone recently told me, what is wrong with our formation? Our formation is we are changing the hardware and making it better and better, but the software that is inserted into the heart and mind of the Salesian remains still old. The software has not changed. We need to change the software and update it for today's context, in a wider context, according to the demands of the church, and going back to the roots of the gospel, to the person of Christ and to the person of Don Bosco, in order to become new Salesians. Thank you and God bless you.